it's even more dangerous, I think, for Canada to get into business with China. Canada is not doing well. They're doing very poorly. And you can't look at China as the answer. I know China very well.
U.S. President Donald Trump has threatened to block the opening of a major new bridge linking Detroit and Windsor, escalating tensions with Canada. The $4.7 billion Gordie Howe International Bridge is nearly complete and expected to open in the coming months after years of construction. In a lengthy social media post, Trump accused Canada of decades of unfair trade behavior. Trump said that the United States should be compensated and even claims the U.S. should own at least half of the Canada-funded bridge. Trump cited Canadian trade practices, dairy tariffs, and limits on U.S. alcohol sales as reasons for his latest warning. Canada pushed back strongly against Trump's threat, with Windsor Mayor Drew Dilkens calling it insane. He reportedly said that American steel was used on the U.S. side of the Gordie Howe International Bridge and expressed confidence that the crossing would open as planned, emphasizing the bridge's importance for both nations. Notably, Canada financed the bridge after the U.S. declined to pay, with costs set to be recovered through tolls over the next 30 years. The bridge was approved during the Obama era, and construction began in 2018, when Trump himself was president. In 2017, Trump and then Prime Minister Justin Trudeau publicly endorsed the bridge as a vital economic link. Now, Trump is blaming former President Barack Obama for approving what he calls a bad deal for the U.S. He also lashed out at Canada's growing trade relationship with China, warning it would have dire consequences. Trump further claimed that China would force Canada to ban ice hockey and eliminate the Stanley Cup. This comes as Democrats in the House are preparing a vote this week to challenge Trump's tariffs on Canada. Remember, Trump has sharply increased tariffs on Canadian imports during his second term. He has warned of a 100% tariff if Canada finalizes a trade deal with China.
Mr. President, what do you think about the UK getting into business with China? Keir Starmer is envisioning.
Well, it's very dangerous for them to do that, and it's even more dangerous, I think, for Canada to get into business with China. Canada is not doing well. They're doing very poorly. And you can't look at China as the answer. I know China very well. I know President Xi's a friend of mine. I know him very well. But that's a big hurdle to go over when you get Canada. The first thing they're going to do is say you're not allowed to play ice hockey anymore. That's not good. Canada's not going to allow that.
All we want from Denmark for national and international security and to keep our very energetic and dangerous potential enemies at bay is this land on which we're going to build the greatest golden dome ever built. We're building a golden dome that's going to, just by its very nature, going to be defending Canada. Canada gets a lot of freebies from us, by the way. They should be grateful also, but they're not. I watched your Prime Minister yesterday. He wasn't so grateful. But they should be grateful to us. Canada lives because of the United States. Remember that, Mark, the next time you make your statements. What we did for Israel was amazing, but that's nothing compared to what we have planned for the United States, Canada, and the rest of the world. We are going to build a dome like no other.
Canada and the United States have built a remarkable partnership in the economy, in security, and in rich cultural exchange. But Canada doesn't live because of the United States. Canada thrives because we are Canadian. We choose to build a bright future worthy of the ground on which we stand. We choose Canada.
For decades, countries like Canada prospered under what we called the rules-based international order. We joined its institutions, we praised its principles, we benefited from its predictability. And because of that, we could pursue values-based foreign policies under its protection. We knew the story of the international rules-based order was partially false, that the strongest would exempt themselves when convenient, that trade rules were enforced asymmetrically. And we knew that international law applied with varying rigor depending on the identity of the accused or the victim. This fiction was useful, and American hegemony in particular helped provide public goods, open sea lanes, a stable financial system, collective security, and support for frameworks for resolving disputes. So we placed the sign in the window. We participated in the rituals, and we largely avoided calling out the gaps between rhetoric and reality. This bargain no longer works. Let me be direct. We are in the midst of a rupture, not a transition. Over the past 2 decades, a series of crises in finance, health, energy, and geopolitics have laid bare the risks of extreme global integration. But more recently, great powers have begun using economic integration as weapons. Tariffs as leverage, financial infrastructure as coercion, supply chains as vulnerabilities to be exploited. You cannot live within the lie of mutual benefit through integration when integration becomes the source of your subordination. The multilateral institutions on which the middle powers have relied, the WTO, the UN, the COP, the architecture, the very architecture of collective problem solving are under threat. And as a result, many countries are drawing the same conclusions, that they must develop greater strategic autonomy in energy, food, critical minerals, in finance and supply chains. And this impulse is understandable. A country that can't feed itself, fuel itself, or defend itself has few options. When the rules no longer protect you, you must protect yourself. But let's be clear-eyed about where this leads. A world of fortresses will be poorer, more fragile, and less sustainable. And there's another truth. If great powers abandon even the pretense of rules and values for the unhindered pursuit of their power and interests, the gains from transactionalism will become harder to replicate. Hegemons cannot continually monetize their relationships. Allies will diversify to hedge against uncertainty. They'll buy insurance, increase options in order to rebuild sovereignty. Sovereignty that was once grounded in rules but will increasingly be anchored in the ability to withstand pressure. When we only negotiate bilaterally with a hegemon, we negotiate from weakness. We accept what's offered. We compete with each other to be the most accommodating. This is not sovereignty. It's the performance of sovereignty while accepting subordination. In a world of great power rivalry, the countries in between have a choice: compete with each other for favor, or to combine to create a third path with impact. We shouldn't allow the rise of hard power to blind us to the fact that the power of legitimacy, integrity, and rules will remain strong if we choose to wield them together.